functioning lockers? Are people actually using an ATM to grab some money? Well, all that is possible by using the arcades in ways that they potentially are not meant to be used. So with that, welcome to a little tips and tricks video for Planet Coaster 2. You may have seen it, but the wonderful update 9 has arrived, and with it, we got access to the wonderful arcades. And if you haven't seen that, I have a full overview video. I also have a video where I'm building an arcade, which is literally, let me just quickly peek in for you, this one over here. So if you're interested, go watch this video. But that's none of our business today. We are looking at functionalities that go beyond what the freaking arcades are intended to, I should say. Well, first of all, let me just put them down so you have a basic idea what I mean. And by doing so, I will put down actually 3 very different ones to give you a bit of an idea. So we are going to plop them down right in the middle here. We could put another one down, but more about that later. So we do also, just so you have an idea, have 2 different types. As you can see down here, there is like a little ticket icon or a diamond icon. The diamond icon kind of indicates that there is a direct or instant win for the people in here. So that is an instant win, while this one over here has to be redeemed somewhere. We're going to talk about the redemption in a bit. People will still use it even though they cannot redeem it, so it's not really an issue. They will still use it, but you can do something with the redemption that is pretty cool. But again, more about that. This is a trick we are going to talk about later. So what I have done to make, for example, the ATM accessible, or also these wonderful lockers over here, is rather simple. So if we grab that one over here and we drag it out, you can see there is a claw machine in here hidden away. Why the claw machine? Well, because it has a very cool kind of form factor that just has this very flat, super simple 2-button layout, which gives you a very clever idea and also a very good indication where they hit the buttons. With all the other things, it is a little bit of a different story, but this one comes in very handy because it's super clean and it's super easy to use, also to hide it away. So what I've done over here, pretty simply, I have hidden it away in this kind of wonderful ATM style. I'm gonna drop this to the workshop as well, so you guys can use it as well. And I used a custom billboard to create my kind of fake ATM style screen for it. So that is all I did. Pretty simple, to be honest. Nothing really incredibly awesome to be done in here, but it just does the job, and it almost looks like as if the person is having its hand inside that like cover up where they have their, you know, where they have card in and type in their pin code so that other people can't really see it. So I did put like a cover on top of it. I don't mind the glitching. It looks like as if they're really using this to type in their thing, and they're grabbing the money. They're all happy, you know, and this time around, there's not happy because not really that much money on the bank account. Well, you get the idea, you know. Let's bring that back into the wall. Next one is obviously our lockers. And the lockers have a bit of a different approach to it because they have a flat wall. You don't want the people to have their hands like lean in. I mean, it could be cool if there's like one locker open. You could even go in and make that kind of a one locker fake open if you wanted to. I opted for something else. I just wanted to have some traffic over here eventually. And so this is why in here there are these kind of token tumbles. I'm just going to show you if someone is going to use the token tumble. I'm going to show you right away what I mean. There we have certain people. And what they do is they basically just wait what's going to happen in here. So that is pretty handy because they will always stand in front of it. You just have some slight gestures, you know, in them pointing at certain things, which I'll get to later. This token tumble is really a great piece for certain things to be done. But that one, as you can see, they don't really interact with it other than just pointing at certain things and standing in front of it, idling most likely, which is really cool. And the same goes obviously then for the lockers. Let's see if someone is approaching them. Yeah, there you go. So it really seems like as if they're just like handling the lockers. So it's not really completely simple. It's not just burying the same thing in there over and over again. And it does function obviously a little bit nicer than the previous trick that has been used with the wonderful souvenir shops, which you could still do. You could still put down certain shelves from a souvenir shop, bury them in certain things, and they would interact, but you will always have the interaction with the cashier later on, which with the wonderful arcades over here is not the case. As long as you don't connect them to anything, it is totally fine. However, speaking of connecting, there is a way of doing and abusing this. Let's see if people started using it. Yes, indeed they did. So what I did over here is I put down a couple of other machines, as you can see. just as an idea, and there's like a long kind of swirling path going around. Now let's see what this person does. It goes over here to one of my indications. It's quickly roughly done. It's not perfect, you know, but this person is almost like interacting with this sign over here. And my idea is that this could be like an interactive like forest walk. I will do this for this park actually, because we do have our foresty area here. This is something I want to do, is like a little kids forest, you know, where they can like walk through the forest and you know, do some riddles with some of the kind of fairy tales, you know, for example, from some of the myth in a certain area. You could also do it obviously with sci-fi, with horror, whatever you have. You could really make like an interactive house even of it, because eventually they will always need to follow the path. As soon as they have interacted with one thing, maybe they do interact with more of these, but they will always go and redeem it at the counter. So this way you can make them actually walk your path. I mean, they will eventually also go back, but it could still act like as a little, you know, line in which they go through. And as long as you do the layout like this and you make the path leading to the cashier always shorter than the way around, they will always follow this line. So if you do connect the path over here, for example, like so, and still this way from basically this machine, or like let's say this machine over here needs to have a shorter way to this cashier via your intended route compared to what the route the other way around would be. So in this case, they will always go to the cashier, but when they're done, they will most likely always use this path to go back. However, if they want to go obviously into another region, they will use another kind of way to go. But this way, you could really make like some nice like interactive areas, you know. You could obviously not only use this claw machine, as I showed you earlier. You could also now embed this. If you go to the cashier and you say, let's add some new to it, you could always use, for example, the where's the kind of thing, the token tumble, you know, you can put down the token tumble as well as part of it. And as they stand in front of it, you can make like vertical kind of billboards, for example, or make like a tree, like an animated tree. Maybe I have an idea for that. Who knows, you know. And you could make this really interactive so that people really use that. I think this is a fairly decent idea. And you could even like dress up certain things like this, you know. I mean, this is like a weird thing to put down in here, but you could dress up this one also as in, like, for example, as a tree, that they yeet these balls inside like a tree, for example, and cover everything up with roots and so on. Even though that is just like dressing up, it's not abusing the functionality of it, because literally that is the functionality and you can't really change much about it. But the other things you can really nicely use in order to achieve something really cool and make something more interactive with these arcade pieces. But there's a little more to it. If you want to be a bit more creative, you could also do a photo booth kind of thing. You can see kids standing here watching the photos that are being taken inside. And eventually what you could also do is, and you can see already the trick, you could also go in and have some flashlights. Yeah, okay, I mean, you don't see them daytime, but like eventually you would see them at nighttime. And they would be happy that they did take a photo. So the basic idea is relatively simple. You have the air hockey hidden inside, and two people will always go in from either side of it. You could also make it open to both sides. I decided to just do it one side. If you put that all the way to the side of a path, they would also go in like that all the time. But here you could also obviously do like a selfie kind of photo. You know, we could do it this way and then just like, for example, have like a photo of those two, but you gotta have to make that in this room, so we had to move the room in here and put this in. I will eventually build a better one than this one, but I just had that idea, and I find this idea still very, very nice, and it does kind of function, you know. Obviously they don't take photos, which they can take them with them, but they could still go to the counter then and, you know, use it afterwards. I think it's kind of believable, you know. You could still do this obviously with putting the table of fortune in, but I like the effect of having that eventually that person of the group standing outside looking at the game. I wanted to make use of that, and I find this, by the way, I find this a super cool thing that Frontier did animate. So sometimes, as for example over now, you won't you won't see the effect because there's no one else in that group, because these were just like a couple of two. You still have them being in here. I hang these curtains in so you can't see what exactly they're doing. It just gives the idea of people doing like photos inside. And as I said, if you have that like continuous play of the flashlight, you get the idea too. And again, these photos over here, you could even have them like a rotating video that just kind of cycles photos through to make it even more believable. And I think as this is as far as the immersion goes, and I'm not even sure what else a photo booth would do for me, but I do quite like the idea. You could put it stand anywhere, and I do quite like this. But I've got one more thing which is a little bit more obvious, but they don't use it over here because technically they're not in the park. But I also changed my ATM into a ticket system that you could also use on parking lots. Only you would need to have then technically the entrance to your park before that. But I like the idea of having tickets in the kind of a entrance area over here. I may exchange them to through fake ones because obviously these are not functioning. But as I said, if I were to just put like another entrance down here so that they're technically in the park, you could still have the second entrance here. It doesn't really matter. But then they would already use this kind of thing. The only downside is you have to make sure that there's only one path dedicated going to the park. Otherwise, they will not use this. But again, you can really nicely use this idea to kind of create whatever you want with these things. So maybe that wasn't even all that you can come up with, but I found this idea very interesting. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what we could do with this thing over here. The pop-up panic, for example. Surely you could make some use of it with them hammering onto something else, but yeah, I haven't really found a solution to what I could have used that one for. But yeah, I'm still wrapping my head around what else I could do. There's a very good showcase of the photo booth now of these two people playing, and you see them looking at it. You could still make this a lot better than I did over here because I used some scrappy walls. You could put that all further back and make it all a bit more thinner in the inside, so the effect is even better than that. Again, which I will eventually do, but I think it's a very, very cool idea to do it that way. It's also kind of fun though. I've always seen people only boarding this thing from the one side, maybe because there's not enough space on the other. I don't really know exactly. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of this. I'm a huge fan of just trying to see what I can do with various pieces. And specifically with this air hockey table, I wasn't sure if I can do something with it, but I do feel like this is kind of cool. I do have certain other ideas for pool areas that you could use it for. I mean, you could use that thing and make some, you know, fountains come out of it. Whatever, every time you hit something, you have to kind of play like a trigger event the whole time. And obviously, the effect does only work if you have one active playing this. But you know, you can't obviously trigger this thing from them playing. That would be cool, to be honest, but you need to have that all the time and then hope that someone is standing in front of it to give away the idea. You can make kind of another idea with these things over here. They would also work for the water area, you know, make them somehow be in water. I have an idea how I could pull that off, but that would be a bit of trickery with the path. I haven't really tried if they would use it by the pool side and how close I can get it to, but you could do something like a pool bar kind of thing. If I can merge it in, you can yet again use this thing and then make kind of as if they were using a pool bar of some sort. That would technically work as well. So there are several ideas I have in mind. The only thing I don't think we can do anything with is the basketball hoop, because it's like so dedicated to it, the alley-oop. That one is super dedicated. I like it a lot, but obviously this gives away a lot what it is. Anyways, I hope this video was a little bit inspirational to you to not only do what is intended with the pieces, but then you can also get creative what you want to do, what you want people to point at, you know, you can make interactive kind of billboards now. You can make interactive areas like pre-shows for queues somehow, even though technically they're not connected if they use this and go into the queue, but it does work wonders. Like, obviously also love my little ATM here in front of my little area. Really big fan of it. Anyways, if you have ideas, let me know in the comments down below. I may realize a couple of those and put together a wonderful little workshop wonderland of abused little arcade machines. I'm not sure if that's the best thing to say in a video. Hopefully it's not going to be demonetized, but what is demonetized most likely is going to be the golden coaster that I will eventually have to completely redo due to the fact I can make now it fully dark, so keep an eye out if I do upload this. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this as inspirational as I found it the first time I did certain things like this. Also, my computer is doing weird bubble spawns. I hope you didn't catch them too much. I wish you a wonderful time. Talk to you in the next one. Until then, don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tricks and all these kind of breaks to the game to see if we can make it happen. Various things, and just have a good time, and don't forget to watch another video now. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Oh, and by the way, if I make this video if I make it to upload this video on Saturday, sorry, my English is broken right now, you will be able to catch me tonight playing a bit more Planet Coaster 2. We might continue in our wonderful sci-fi arcade. I can't wait to see you there. So until then, have a good time and